Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland took place in the main event of UFC Fight Night Orlando. Thompson versus Holland, and Wonderboy gets it done. He finishes Kevin Holland at the end of the 4th round. The corner steps in, waves off the fight after like a 10-8 round from Wonderboy. It was absolutely dominant and more dominant as the fight went on. Round 1, there was some back and forths. I actually gave round 1 to Kevin Holland. He hurt Wonderboy really badly in round 1 and landed like a really big right hand right on Wonderboy's forehead and hurt him, had him wobbled. Wonderboy was doing good before then, but Kevin Holland had that moment and swarmed him. He also like cut open Wonderboy with a clash of heads at one point. There was a bunch of clash of heads in this fight, but as the fight went on, Stephen Thompson turned it into a striking clinic. He won round 2. Also had a moment for Kevin Holland in round 2, which made it very, very entertaining. And Kevin Holland, of course, rocked Wonderboy at one point, and Wonderboy went stumbling into the cage. He kind of tripped over a little bit as well, but it was like a big, crazy moment. But Stephen Thompson, in rounds 3 and 4 especially, he's the best striker in the UFC. I had this conversation with my chat after the fight was over. Adesanya ain't doing that to people. Like, that's just a fact. Fair play, Adesanya can tailor his striking for MMA to be able to outstrike grapplers, and that's why he's so good. But middleweight doesn't have half the level of grapplers that welterweight has that are going to be able to expose a striker like Wonderboy. Wonderboy is the best pure striker in MMA. It's just a fact. No one does what he does. Multiple wheel kicks around. No. Multiple wheel kicks a minute against Kevin Holland here. He was landing them at will. He was landing head kicks. I'm salivating over this performance by Stephen Thompson. It was ridiculous. Front leg hook kicks to the face, side kicks to the face, pull back right hands with like an 8-inch reach disadvantage against Kevin Holland. Holland has like an 84-inch reach. Wonderboy has a 75-inch reach, and he's dipping out the way and countering 9-inch reach advantage. I guess that would be a disadvantage at least. What's Holland's reach? Let me just get that down for sure. 81-inch reach. Sorry, I'm overestimating it massively. He has a 6-inch reach advantage over Stephen Thompson. And Thompson's dipping out the way, catching him with a right hand as the fight goes on. Of course, Kevin Holland broke his hand in round 1, which is what he claims, but I don't believe that's true. He might have done. I'm not going to call him a liar, but I just think it's awful convenient that the one moment he had success, he broke his hand, and that's why he lost the rest of the fight. I don't think that's true. I think in round 2, his hand was still good, and he was throwing it very well. And, yeah, amazing performance by Stephen Thompson. Round 3 and 4, you could see Kevin Holland starting to slow down a little bit. He probably did break his hand as well at some point in that fight, but I think it was a little bit further along than one of the early exchanges in round 1 that he claims it was. And Stephen Thompson just took him to school, hurt him to the body with massive body kicks across the waist and across the stomach of Kevin Holland, right across him, and just brutally hurt him with those body kicks. And then it was right away back to the wheel kicks against the cage, combination punches against the cage, teeing off on him. I was always worried when Kevin Holland was sort of like getting Wonderboy in the clinch and landing elbows and stuff like that maybe he would turn the tide and randomly catch Wonderboy out of nowhere, but it was a crazy fight and an amazing fight. This was one of the fights of the year. It lived up to expectations. I picked Holland to win, and I know people are going to be saying, how could you pick Holland to win? I just thought that he wanted to win. And he wanted to win, but he wanted to win by outstriking Wonderboy, which just never was going to happen. And I wish I would have made my prediction after I heard him speaking on Fight Week. And I wish I could tell if he was telling the truth or not, because there were multiple moments in this fight where he got down Stephen Thompson and was on top of him and then just let him back up. And the sad part about it is, I know for a fact if Kevin Holland wanted to, he could have battered Wonderboy on the ground in those moments where he would get Wonderboy down, be on top in half guard with like 3 minutes left in the round. He could destroy Wonderboy from top position with ground and pound, KO him, or just beat him up and eventually get a submission. Like, he can do that to Wonderboy. But respect and also no respect, Holland just lets him back up. Like, he could have won that. And it's sad because he took a whole bunch of damage. In this fight. And I'm not trying to take away from Wonderboy's win, but I don't think I can pick Kevin Holland at all anymore. And he might retire. He might go off on one of those and say, I'm retiring now. I made a whole bunch of money and all this type of stuff. But I just don't think he has the mindset to be a top-level guy. You can't just be like, I'm only going to strike with Wonderboy. That's how you lose. That's just obvious. I thought, and my prediction was Kevin Holland by Darce choke. I thought he would hurt Wonderboy. They would end up in a scramble, which did happen multiple times. And then he would find the Darce choke on Wonderboy. But every time they ended up in a scramble and Holland ended up on top, he just stood up and let Wonderboy up. Respect, because it made for an amazing fight. And I really enjoyed the fight. And I'm not really angry that I didn't get my pick right, because it was such a great performance from Wonderboy. And yeah, I just can't believe what I witnessed when Wonderboy's striking. Pull back, right hand, left hook, and then dips out again. And he's just flowing all. It's so good to watch. You have to watch a Wonderboy fight. I'd love to. I'll never get this experience, and it's sad that I'll never get this experience. I'd love to be cage side for a Wonderboy fight. At least once, you know? And I'm not really a guy who's too big on even having to be at the events, because I don't go to the events and stuff, but man, I'd really love it if I could just be at one Wonderboy fight cage side, just to see it happen in front of me. You know? The way he moves around and literally floats around. He floats. He floats around the octagon. It's not Adesanya standing, fingers outstretched, 1-2s down the pipe and leg kicks at range. It's real ninja stuff, like karate, crazy. I don't even know how to describe it. It's magic stuff. Like, it's literally magical stuff. Wizardry on the feet. To see him dip out the way of every shot and land his combos back and land body kicks, leg kicks, lead leg hook kicks to the face, front leg side kicks to the face as well, side kick to the body while Holland goes for a kick and it sends him on his ass. It was just such a good performance from Stephen Thompson. And it leaves us with the question of what's next for Stephen Thompson. But there are some moments in the fight I want to talk about. A bunch of head clashes from Holland that was really annoying me, because Wonderboy got cut open in round 1 with a head clash. He got cut open in round 2 or 3 as well, right through the center of his face with a head clash as well. And Holland was landing some decent shots here and there, but Wonderboy's chin held up. It did. It really did. He was so badly rocked in round 1. When they showed the replay, I was like, oh, that's definitely Holland's round. Like, they showed the replay of Wonderboy getting rocked, and he literally went, like, it looked like he was about to. It was very similar to Jamal Hill versus Johnny Walker, but except none of the Looney Tunes slip backwards and get KO'd emote from Johnny Walker. It was more of the Wonderboy got rocked badly, but then Holland got too close, trying to land uppercuts and clinch with him, and that gave the opportunity for Wonderboy to clinch back and survive that moment. But yeah, Holland so nearly had him in round 1 by KO, and every time he came bolting forward, I was worried for Wonderboy, because all it takes is one good shot from Holland to glance off of his chin, and it's all over. But man, Wonderboy's good. He's that guy. He is him. You know what I mean? As the internet's saying nowadays. He is that guy, for sure. Like, he's the best striker. I don't see anyone doing what he does, other than at bantamweight, and the fact that he does it at welterweight is even crazier. Even crazier, because that's bantamweight stuff. And even bantamweights aren't pulling off wheel kicks like that. They just aren't. Like, what O'Malley will throw one and it might land, it might not. You know what I mean? But Wonderboy's doing multiple around. Wheel kick, wheel kick, wheel kick, wheel kick. And these guys are getting caught by it. Like, even the Jeff Neal performance and the Luke K performance. If you give him someone that's going to stand with him, it's over for them. It really is over for them. And he will school them and make them look silly and foolish. I don't like what Kevin Holland did. It was a silly move, and he took a whole bunch of damage. But I also feel like there's more fun matchups for Kevin Holland that aren't at the top of the rankings. There are really fun matchups for Kevin Holland at the top of the rankings that I would have loved to have seen, like him versus Jeff Neal in a rematch, him versus Covington. But we kind of know he'll get out-grappled by the wrestlers, and if he fights a striker, he'll try to strike and he'll lose. You know what I mean? Like, it's just Holland finds a way to mess it up for himself, because I think he's got a bit of autism. And respect to him, you know, for dealing with it and fighting with it and stuff. But he has got a bit of something gone in the head for these decision-making moments to happen like this. But I feel like I find more fun matchups for him outside the rankings. You know what I mean? If they're still fighting, that is. Also in the fight, sorry. Dan Miragliotta waving off after a groin shot. Do not wave off. He got hit in the groin with a punch from Wonderboy after being hurt to the body. And Miragliotta went like that over the top and went, no, we're not doing this. Like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm so happy they didn't stop it there and we got to see the end of that. We get to see the end of that fourth round to see what really happened to Holland by Stephen Thompson, because it was great. A great performance. And what was I just about to look up? Oh, rankings in the welterweight division outside the rankings. First of all, for Kevin Holland, I'm looking at names like Nico Price. Daniel Rodriguez is a name that I'm looking at for him as well, because it was supposed to happen. They could make it again. Co-main event of a fight night. No one would complain about that whatsoever. I could even annoyingly see them putting him against Tony Ferguson, because they love to do Holland favours. I could see him versus, well, Lawless fighting Ponzinibbio, so that won't happen. But I can see a bunch of fun matchups for Kevin Holland. If Matt Brown still wants a fight, I can see them offering him Kevin Holland. Like, there's a lot of fun, winnable matchups for Kevin Holland outside the rankings. And at the end of the day, he's still 30 years of age. Maybe he'll give it another 2 years. Try and have another run in the welterweight division. And because there is some style matchups that you can do well against. But yeah, not a good performance from him after the first round. Didn't try to win. He just tried to strike and win. So he did try and win, but he didn't try to do it the way I thought he would, by mixing in the takedowns like a logical human being with an absolute complete brain in their head. But that's all good. For Wonderboy, people don't like this idea. They don't like this idea from me. Middleweight. They're going to do an Adesanya Pereira rematch. Pereira's going to have his finger fixed, and Adesanya needs some time off. Adesanya Pereira, the Ultimate Fighter Season 31, in July. They do that fight. Whittaker beats Paulo Costa. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to see Wonderboy face another grappler in the welterweight division. He'll lose. I don't want to see him fight another up-and-comer unless it's Mikel Pereira, and Pereira's going to want to fight sometime soon, so I don't see him getting the Wonderboy fight either. I want to see Wonderboy Whittaker. I want to see a Wonderboy versus Darren Till rematch if Till can beat Duplessis next weekend, which I don't think he will. But I want matchups at middleweight for Wonderboy. If Strickland loses to Cannonier, why not do a Wonderboy Strickland fight? We need to stop just getting Wonderboy losses by putting him against grapplers. Let's give him people that actually are going to give him a great fight. And let us see the prime of Wonderboy. Not the prime of Wonderboy, but the peak level of Wonderboy at this point in his career. I don't need to see him fight an up-and-coming grappler and lose. I don't. We've seen it. They've got past him. Let's just... It's a spectacle watching him fight. Let's not waste those moments. I know Whittaker might grapple him. I know. But there's more chance of a good Wonderboy performance against a Whittaker, against a Darren Till, against a Sean Strickland in the middleweight division. And that's what I want to see from Wonderboy. I know he's a little bit undersized, but so's Strickland, so's Darren Till, and so is Robert Whittaker as well. And maybe in some weird universe, Adesanya beats Pereira in the rematch. Wonderboy gets to jump on Whittaker again in a rematch. And we could maybe get Adesanya versus Wonderboy. That'd be crazy. So I say risk it at middleweight against Whittaker, because Whittaker ain't going to wait 10 months after the Costa fight if he does win. Like and subscribe. Toodle pip. See you later. Goodbye. Amazing performance from Wonderboy. Very good stuff. I'm glad they stopped the fight as well, because Holland was just going to take a whole bunch more damage. Goodbye.